All right, everybody. Good late afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. One quick thing before I get into the meat of this video. We have a Bleacher Report stream. It starts in less than an hour as of the upload of this video. Going to start at about 5:50. We're going to go a little bit early tonight because I've got some things going on, and I want to go a little bit early to make sure that I have time for them. So we're going to start at about 5:50. We're going to finish up around 6:15 or 6:20. So get in there, download the Bleacher Report app to be in the stream as I'm discussing recent Seahawks happenings. You don't have to make an account to watch the stream, actually. You do, I believe, have to make an account in order to comment on the stream, though. So definitely do that if you can. And yeah, I'll post the link to the show a little bit later in the community tab. And, well, actually, by the time you watch this, it'll probably already be there. And I'll post it right when the show's going live as well. Okay. So we've got to talk about some contracts because we finally got contractual details for the Seattle Seahawks and the things that they have done in the free agency period so far. So we're going to start with the big one here, Sam Darnold. We actually have his contract details for the 2025, 2026, and 2027 season. And it's definitely not the initial report. The initial report was incorrect, which I suspected based on the fact that the contract didn't make a lot of sense at the time. This contract is much more normal. Much more normal. So let's break it down. We've got quite a bit of data to push through. 2025, the first year, this upcoming season, cap hit is 13.4 million. So it's significantly less than the average annual value of the deal, which is normal for a contract, right? So what they've done is they pushed a big chunk of the money out into future years, which is pretty much what you always do when it comes to a highly paid quarterback. That's just standard operating procedure. So first year cap hit 13.4 million. Also, another interesting element here is the use of void years. We have 2 void years tacked onto the end of the Darnold contract, 6.4 million, 6.4 million. So that puts almost 13 million of the 100, it looks like they're calling it $105 million contract into void years, which is something that generally speaking, I think is a good idea. I think it's a good idea to do void years on players that you covet and like and know are going to provide value. Now, I think there's certainly room for debate on whether or not Darnold is going to be valuable, but generally speaking, a big contract should probably come with void years just as a default. That being said, however, when I say that the rest of this contract is pretty darn normal, that comes with some pretty negative things as well. And I want to be clear here, there could be some stuff we don't know about. There could be some stuff hidden in the contract that we as fans just don't really get to understand at this point in time, but let's take a look here. So 2026. So next season, not this upcoming season, but the season after it, the cap hit spikes to about $34 million. Substantial, but certainly not the end of the world. However, releasing Sam Darnold after this upcoming season is not really something that you can do. Or at the very least, it's not something that would be good to do unless he's just atrocious. The dead cap hit on Darnold after this upcoming season is 25.6 million. The savings is only 8.3 million. So if you release him after this upcoming season, you're probably doing it as a post June 1st release, which, I mean, you can do that, but that's bad business, right? That means you're eating almost 13 million dead in 2026 and another almost 13 million dead in 2027. That's not good. You don't want to do that. That would be something that you do only if he's really, really bad. So, granted, the ultimate effect is not really different from the initial contract we talked about. Remember how we said, oh, there's no dead money after the first year, but the first year cap hit is way bigger. Well, now that first year cap hit is a lot less, but there's a big dead money hit, but it averages out to about the same. If Sam Darnold is released after the 2025 season because he's really bad and we don't like what we see at all. You're looking at basically a 1 year, and then you have 25 plus 13, that's 38, a $39 million cap hit, and you would probably split that cap hit across 3 seasons. So it would basically be like 1 year, 39 million with void years for the 2/3 of the deal. And look, that would be bad, but it's not really worse than what we were thinking about because remember, cap space rolls over. So that is kind of 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. But the bottom line is this is not a 1 year deal. Some people were saying, oh, this contract's basically a 1 year deal. No, it's not. This is not a 1 year deal. If we don't get at least good play out of Darnold in 2025 to where we feel good about him in 2026, this is actually kind of a disaster. This is actually really, really unpleasant. And 2027, here's the thing. You've got significant dead money on Darnold even in 2027. The cap hit goes up to about 44.9 million, almost 45 million, which is not particularly tenable. There's a dead cap hit of 19.2 million. I believe because of the way contracts work, most of that is the void years. So the actual additional dead money hit is more in the realm of like 6.5 million. So it's not as bad as it looks. You can still see, though, there is going to be some pain involved here if you have to release Darnold even at this point. It's not a free year. It's not a fake year. It's not fake money. A lot of the money is fake, but not all of it. The savings would be very substantial, 25.7 million. So once you get to 2027, letting Darnold go becomes a much more viable a much bigger possibility. But even then, you can see that because of the void years, there is going to be some pain. And whether or not you're okay with this is really just up to how you personally feel about Sam Darnold as a player. If you believe in him, if you think he's going to be great for us, if you think he's going to be one of the reasons why this team has a lot of success over the next couple years, then who cares about void year cap hits? Who cares about dead cap? It's fine. Everything's cool. But if you're like me and you're a little more skeptical about Sam Darnold, this contract is not really that enticing. It's a normal contract. About the best you can say about it is that it's not as much money as other quarterbacks would be. Like, a lot of people say, oh, Geno's contract would have been for a little bit more, and it probably would have been if you had gotten a different quarterback. Like, let's say you had access to like a Baker Mayfield. He probably would have been more than that as well because he's had a couple of good seasons in a row now. But overall, this contract is not really letting you off that easy even after 1 year. So, to anybody out there who was thinking like, oh, this is basically a 1 year deal, at this point, I don't think that's a good characterization. There's probably some stuff you can also parse out of the contract notes. If on the roster on the 5th day of the 2026 waiver period, 17.5 million of his 2026 salary will be fully guaranteed. So I'm not sure when the 5th day of the 2026 waiver period is technically. I don't know if that means we have to make a very quick decision on Darnold after the season or not. But there's probably a little bit to peel through there. But generally speaking, it's a standard NFL contract for a player like a Sam Darnold, a good, capable, decent quarterback that gets over $100 million on a 3-year deal. So it's not a 1 year deal. That's the one thing that I will say about this. So I don't think there's anything to celebrate in that regard. It's just a normal contract. DeMarcus Lawrence is another contract that we got today. The cap hits are actually pretty pretty First year 7.7, call it 7.7, and then it goes up to 11.3, and then it goes up to 12.8. So it's pretty shallow. A lot of the time you'll see a deal like this and it goes like 5, 10, 15 or something. This is 7.7, 11.3, 12.8. It's not overly committing. And you can also see the way the bonuses work. The signing bonus, 6.6, per game roster bonus, 2.5 and 2.55. Basically, this is a this could be like a 1-year deal, but it wouldn't be a very appealing 1-year deal because you've got 7.68, let's call it 7.7 in 2025, and the dead cap on a release in 2026 is 4.25. So call that 4.3. So 4.3, and then you have the 7.7. So you're basically talking about 12 million total with just like you just split it across the 2 years. So 1 year, 12 million for DeMarcus Lawrence, if that's the way this deal goes, is okay, I guess, but it's really nothing to get excited about. So again, this is just kind of a normal contract, except it's a little more shallow, but the ultimate effect is going to be the same. I will say we're taking on a little bit bigger portion of the cap hit in 2025, which at this point is good because we have a lot of cap space we may not be able to use. But yeah, it's not nothing. The second year of this contract isn't fake. If we release him, he still gets more than a third of his intended cap hit for 2026. Now, 2027, there's only 2.1 million dead, 10.7 million savings, so that's going to be a pretty easy out if we want to take it at that time. But at 12.8 million, if he's still playing well, there's nothing wrong with keeping him around. And remember, if you release him in 2026, you could do the post-June 1st release, and then it'd be 2.1 million, 2.1 million dead in each of the next 2 years. And, 2.1 million is really nothing. So, pretty easy contract to deal with. You would like him to last 2 years, but if he doesn't, it's not the end of the world at all. It's pretty easy to get out of it. So, this one seems pretty good to me. I like this contract. I'm feeling pretty decent about this one. So, that leaves one more significant contract to take a look at. Cooper Kupp. Yeah, let's pull this apart. So, the signing bonus is 12 million of the call it 45 million. It's technically slightly less, but call it the total cap hits will be 45 million. And these are a little bit more normally staggered. The first year is 9.4, call it 9.4. Then it ladders up to 17.5, then it goes up to 18. Now, if we take a look at this, you can see that the dead money hit for Kupp in 2026 would be about 8 million, and the cap savings would be 9.5. So it's still more than half of the money is not guaranteed, right? More than half of the money is still something that we can free up if Kupp doesn't work out well, or we just want to go in a different direction. But 8 million dead for a player like Cooper Kupp that would still not be good business. So 9.4 million that first year, that seems okay. I got no real objection with that. That seems like a reasonable price for somebody like a Cooper Kupp at this point, even if there are concerns, definitely. And then that next year it balloons up to 17.5. That's still really, if Cooper Kupp is still playing at a high level at that point, or even a moderate level, that's still really not that bad. But again, I want to say this. I said this of the Darnold contract, and I'll say it here. This is not a 1-year deal the way some people were pitching it. I would call this a 2-year deal. I think cutting him after 1 year would be certainly possible, but I would not call it the plan. It would be akin to like what we did with Draymond. What we did with Draymond was clearly not the plan. We had to do it because he wasn't good enough. You can do it. It does save you almost $10 million, but you definitely don't want to do that. Again, you could split it across the last 2 years of the deal if you wanted to, but you're still talking about eating 8 million dead total. And then 2027, that year's mostly just fake money. 4 million dead, 14 million saved. That's going to be really easy to do. 4 million by that point is going to be what? Not even 1.5% of the salary cap, 1.5% of the cap. Who cares about that? So as long as Cooper Kupp gives us 2 viable years, it should be fine. And really, all he has to do that is have one good 2025 year, and then we'll keep him for 2026. And then if things go off the rails at that point, then obviously that sucks, but he'll already be on the team. But I don't look at this and go, oh, that's an easy out after 1 year. No, the 8 million matters on some level. Okay, so that's the contract breakdowns for our three big offseason signings. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys later. Go Hawks.